I wanted a new storyline and I knew I had to be the one to write it. Hi friends, you've seen the video title by now. It's true, I have moved to Chicago. And in today's video, I want to share why I moved, some thoughts around leaving my hometown, and what I hope to get out of my time in the Chicago area. So I haven't been posting consistently since returning from Japan because there has been a lot going on, including preparing and handling things for this move. And if you've ever moved before, especially moved states, you know there are a lot of parts to handle. So I've been busy, y'all. But I have moved, I got it all settled, and today I want to share more around my decision to move by going through some frequently asked questions that my husband and I got a lot as we were announcing to people around us that we were going to make this change. And honestly, some of these are questions that I still get, so let's get into it. First question, why move at all? I wanted a new adventure, plain and simple. The thought to move from my hometown has been in my head for years and years and years. And I think I've always been that kind of person who was never going to really feel fulfilled if they were to stay in or around their hometown for most of their life. So I knew this is something that I wanted to do at some point. For some context, I am from Arkansas, that's in the southern United States. I have lived there really my whole life, aside from going to college somewhere else. And I don't consider college to be that I want to live away from home experience that I'm talking about when I talk about this kind of move, because going somewhere for a 4-year education, in my opinion, it's just different. Though it was a great experience and I do love my college town. So just know that outside of higher education, I've really spent my whole life in Arkansas. Now don't get me wrong, I actually really like the South. I have a lot of love for Arkansas and the city where I'm from. I love, the weather, the culture, the food, the hospitality, the community that's in the South. But I've just always known that I've wanted an experience both away from my hometown and in a bigger city. And it just never really happened, just didn't have the money, or our jobs kept us tied to the state we were in, or, the pandemic happened, life happens, like that kind of stuff. But the thing about wanting a change in your life is something is always going to be there. There's always going to be some reason or some sort of excuse. And if you want to make a change, you can't wait for life to happen to you. You have to make life happen for you. You have to make that decision to say that things are going to look different for me at this point of the year or at this point in my life, and start putting things in motion so that it does. Stop talking about it and start being about it. So this year was about being about it, okay? And it was about embracing the fact that I am young, but also in my 30s. So I'm more grounded than I was before. I'm in good health. I've laid the groundwork for financial health and financial discipline to where I knew if I was going to make a move like this, make a change like this, I will be okay. So with all of those elements, I knew there's no better time than now. I wanted a new storyline and I knew I had to be the one to write it. Okay, next question. Why Chicago though? So while I've known for a long time that I was going to move at some point in my adulthood, the certainty on moving to Chicago is a little bit of a newer decision in comparison, I would say. And honestly, it was between Chicago and another city for me when it came to what's that next step? And ultimately, my husband and I chose Chicago because of the lifestyle, location, and the culture. So starting with lifestyle, I wanted a walkable neighborhood, period. After experiencing getting around places like Denmark and Sweden and Japan by a combination of walking and public transportation, I really left those travel experiences like, I should be experiencing this kind of thing regularly. And I love the idea of being car optional. And that's just not something I could do back home where I'm from. If I needed to go to the dentist, I'm driving. If I want to pick up Chipotle, I'm driving there. If I want to go to the movies, I am getting in my car and I am driving there. Because moving by car is the best option for getting around. Chicago is known for its public transportation system. And I'm not saying that every resident, every neighborhood has the best access to it. I'm not saying that the CTA is always going to be clean or peaceful like public transportation might be in other parts of the world, but I am saying it is a robust and very impressive public transportation system considering how large the United States is and the fact that a lot of our cities just don't have a robust option like that for its residents. Chicago, however, does. So that means more walking for me, more car optional days for me, and that's the kind of lifestyle I had been looking for. Now, getting into location, there are a few things that I like about the location of the Chicago area. It's in the Midwest and it's in the Central Time Zone. So if I want to fly home, I can do that. It's not going to take forever for me to get home. You know, I'm not struggling with time zones to connect with or FaceTime my family or friends or anything. And about the Midwest thing, I'm related to Midwesterners, related to folks in the Chicago area specifically. I have a lot of friends in the Midwest. I went to college in the Midwest. I don't feel terribly far from people that I know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like I'm in the middle of nowhere. And just the location of being on Lake Michigan offers something new to me. Before, when I was ever near a large body of water, it was more often than not the Gulf Coast, which I love. But just being near Lake Michigan now, or nearer to Lake Michigan now, really just offers something new, and I think that's nice. Now, with the culture part of why we chose Chicago, you know, I love to travel. My husband and I love to travel. I love traveling in the United States. I love traveling abroad. And there's just so many instances where we come back home and we're like, man, I really wish that we had this one thing at home. Or I really wish that we could experience this kind of thing without having to travel far or drive for hours to do it. Being in Chicago, I'm always hearing different languages when I go out. I'm always seeing different cuisines that I either don't have back home or don't have multiple options for back home. There's so many cultural museums and events, buildings, and the architecture here. There's just a lot, and there's just more of an opportunity to have that sense of adventure and sense of learning about different cultures and being around more cultures that I was looking for. Next question, isn't it expensive there? Yes. So for some context, yes, Chicago is more expensive than the lifestyle I had back home and the cost of living that I had back in my home state. But really a fair comparison is comparing Chicago to the other large metropolitan areas in the United States. And compared to those, Chicago really is a more affordable area to be in. So yes, it is more expensive to be here than where I was before, but it's also affordable for me. Next question, what about the cold? I really don't know what people want me to say in response to this. I've never experienced a Chicago winter before. I've experienced some of the fall before moving. I've experienced some of the summer before I moved here, but never a winter. And I would just have to cross that bridge when I get to it by being, you know, prepared with my layers and my good coats and acting on all the research that I've done to prepare for winter in a place like this. And you know, once I made up my mind about moving, I could not let those whataboutisms and what ifs affect me too much or get in my head too much. Like, I said I'm gonna do this thing. I want to try out this thing. Yeah, it gets cold there. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, not move? Like, it's not happening. So I'll let you guys know how I survive. Next question, what about the crime? And that's a valid question, but I will say I am from one of the most dangerous cities in America, and I am a woman. I've seen some stuff, and I feel like all of that kind of gives you a foundation for how to move in society. So, you know, always keeping something on you, keeping your head on a swivel, mind your business, and act on your instincts. Next question. So what's wrong with your home state or your hometown? Nothing really, but also something. So my husband and I started to feel like we've kind of done everything there is for us to do back home, or at least everything we would want to do back home. Like, our routine had gone stale, and you know, we were looking for new sights, new routine, new flavors, new sounds. Like, we wanted new, we wanted an adventure. And I will say, if I were to have made this kind of move a decade ago, it probably would have been a much more anti-Arkansas, anti-home move. But this move for me right now is not that. It is not an anti-Arkansas move. It is pro expanding and exploring, learning and growing. It is a pro me move. It is a pro us move. And if I was born anywhere else in the world, I think that I would probably still be that kind of person who just could never feel settled in the place where they're from. I think I would always be trying to find something new or explore somewhere new. And the thing about travel and adventure is I always love coming home. Like, I always love coming back to my house. I love being out and about and seeing new stuff and doing whatever, but I also love when I'm finally back home. And I know that Arkansas is not disappearing off the map. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go home often. I'm not going to never go back home again. Like, I know that I will be back home regularly, and when I do, I will love that experience of coming back home. Next question, how long will you be in Illinois? Now that I don't know. I don't have a mapped out plan. Like, this really is an adventure. So I have to see if I even like this decision. You know what I mean? Which I really am so far. And the thing about an adventure and just trying something out is you can adjust how you want your plot line to look. And you also have the power to change your mind completely. So, you know, I'm going into this with an open mind, and we'll see where the journey takes me. Last question. What about your job? What about it? You know, it's remote work. It's 2024. The work goes where I go. And that's it, you guys. That's some info surrounding my decision to move to Chicago. I might do some vlogs here and there where I take you along with me as I'm out and about in the city. Let me know if y'all want to see something like that. And if you want to know how I moved states, let me know that too, because there are a lot of logistical things involved in moving, and a lot of planning and budgeting and saving. I had to learn a lot through research. It's not like I've ever done this kind of thing before, so I really learned a lot. So let me know if you want to know what I know now. Anyway, it's good to be posting again, and I have so much to share with you in future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.